Okay, today I'm going to teach you how to go through the Windbound speedrun step by step, explain what each process is and why. So when I go here, I'm going to sprint hop. I believe it's faster than just straight running. I haven't done extensive testing on that, but it feels faster to me. So you'll see me doing that a lot throughout the run. So step one, we got to gather grass so we can create the grass hulls, ropes, and other things we need to create the boat. Okay, let's pause for a quick second to review the materials we're going to need to complete the run. So for our raft, we're going to need one grass sail, one bamboo deck, and two grass hulls. So total for the materials we're going to need to craft all this is one stick, 4 bamboo, 6 grass rope, and 10 grass. However, the grass rope is actually just 2 grass, so we're actually going to need a total of 22 grass overall to complete this. Okay, back to the run. Okay, you can see as I go into the water here, I'm going to try and get onto the rocks, since running and jumping off the rocks is actually going to cover more distance in a shorter amount of time than if you were to just swim like I am right now. And then running and jumping through the shallow water definitely saves time, because she does walk slower in water, but running and jumping does not slow her down. Here I see that there's clumps of 3. I'm going to show you how to hit all 3 in one go to save time. You want to come in from the outside of the triangle, pointing at just 1. That'll let you hit all 3. If you come in trying to hit from between the 2, it's only going to hit maybe 1 or 2 and not hit all 3 at the same time. Okay, here I'm going to run more out of the way than I need to. I was keeping track in my head, and while I was lining up, I lost count and didn't count that last 3. So you're going to watch me run around and grab a bit more grass than is needed. This is going to add some time to the run, but since this is just for demonstration purposes, I'm not that concerned about it. Now you're going to see me sprint jump up this ramp. I do think it is a bit faster than if you were to just hold sprint and run up the ramp. Now I'm going to take a second, I'm going to look around for what islands are close by. Now I'm going to run down the side here and jump into the water. You're going to want to make sure you don't hit the deep water, since that will waste more time than if you were to run down to the beach and turn around. Now I'm going to make all 6 ropes, and that's just going to save a bit of time of not having to flip back and forth in the menu later in the run, having to make more rope for the next things I'm building. Here I'm going to make the first grass hull. We are going to need 2 in this run, but I don't have the bamboo to make the deck and combine them yet, since that is only available in Chapter 2. Here I'm just kind of flipping back and forth, trying to figure out what the best option is. I decided to go with the right side island, since it sits further forward towards that final island that we need to reach Chapter 2. You watch me skip this first tower island, and that's because we're actually not going to do any of the towers in this run. We're just going to be going straight to the final islands, clipping up the wall, and then going to the next chapter. So now I'm going to head over to the right side island to grab our stick so I can make our grass mast and sail a bit faster than it would be just paddling. So on the left here, you're going to see some seaweed patches. You're going to want to avoid sailing over those, as they do slow your boat down and are going to add more time to your run. Now coming up on the right, there's going to be some coral reefs, and you're going to want to avoid these at all costs during your run, because how the wave mechanics work is that if it's high enough, you will sail over it without taking damage, but if the water drops, your boat's going to take damage, and since we're using grass hulls, they do easily explode on those coral reefs. So now I'm going to actually hook a left here. I'm not going to beach the boat, because if I do, I have to push it back out into the water and swim out to it, which will add more time. Now I'm going to run to the first stick I can find so I can build my mast. I normally would sprint right back to the boat to build that, but I had the idea that there might be some more clumps of 3 grass that I can show that cut with. I do find some up here on the top of the island. I'm going to show you it from a more straight on angle like you would see when you're playing the game, so you don't have to stop and go directly to an overhead angle to make sure you hit that right. So now that I hit the first one, we're going to try hitting that second one. I take a second to line it up, but it still saves some time than doing the individual cuts. Now I'm going to run back to the boat here and build my grass mast, and then we're going to head straight to that end island that you can see in the upper right. Okay, so now that I've reached my grass hull, I'm going to jump onto it before I build a sail, since doing the crafting animation in the water and then standing up does add a bit of time. I'm not sure what I was doing in the menu during this point in the run, but we're going to jump into sailing in just a second here. Okay, now that we have the mast, it's actually going to add a lot of speed to our run, and the wind is in our favor here when we're trying to go to that final island. Normally, if the wind is coming from that island and I have to sail into it while I just have one hull and the mast, I will restart the run since it's going to add a bunch of time, and I'd rather restart well early in the run than having to restart well 30 minutes plus into the run. Okay, now we're near the final island. We did get stuck going into the wind a bit, so I broke my rules since we're just showing this for examples. I'm going to avoid these coral reefs as closely as I can, since I don't want my boat to explode and have to restart the run. So the devs definitely wanted you to have to climb all 3 towers to get to Chapter 2, but we're just going to skip those. I'm going to jump onto the rock here, and then I'm going to do a jump pattern that avoids the climb animation as much as possible, as it is slower and adds more time to the run. So I'm going to mess up my jumping here in just a second, but this is for demonstration, so I'm not that concerned. On the left, there's a rock with a gap. On later islands, there's a different type of rock formation there, and we're going to use that one to skip, but we have to use a different spot on this first island. Now, in the original runs, they would do a jump pattern up this wall so they can climb and then get to the staircase to go to Chapter 2. I wasn't able to do it, so I attacked the wall out of frustration and discovered this knife skip. So I'm going to line up parallel, go around the corner, and then I'm going to go to the right as far as I can and do an attack. And then I'm going to do a dodge roll so I stay on top of the pillar here. Technically, you don't have to do the dodge roll, but I've discovered sometimes your feet won't clip onto the top and you fall back down. So I just do it out of security reasons. So I'm going to line up parallel, go into battle stance, round the corner, go all the way to the right, attack the wall. That one missed. And then I'm going to dodge roll to stay on top here. Now I'm going to show it one more time. So yep, I'm going to round this corner here, line up parallel to the wall, go into battle stance, round back, all the way to the right, attack, and dodge roll. And then be careful because it's going to lock you into a cinematic camera and change how you have to move in your WASD controls. And then this will get us to Chapter 2. So I decided to do a straight sprint up this ramp just so I could compare to later times where I'm doing the jumping. Jumping is very slightly faster. It's not really that much of a difference, so it's not worth putting in the effort to learn this perfect spacing jumping just to save like 1/10 of a second. So here we have to do a sailing gauntlet between each chapter, so we just have to get this little boat through the gauntlet and then we can start Chapter 2. In a second here, I'm going to let go of the sail's controls, and that's just because from my experience, it seems like when the cephalid pops up, the boat slows down to do a cinematic pan onto it, and letting go seems to reset that so your boat is not slowed down. Okay, so here we are in Chapter 2. You should always land fairly close to one of these bamboo forest islands. That'll give you just enough bamboo to create your bamboo platform so you can continue your run, because we are going to make a catamaran so it goes faster than our little boat that we have currently. Okay, so as I approach the island, I'm actually going to beach the boat this time, and that's for construction reasons that I'll be showing you in just a minute. For now, we want to go grab our 4 bamboo. Okay, so I've spotted my first bit of bamboo. I do see the pain stalker in the background here. You don't really need to worry about him too much. He doesn't aggro unless you stand in his vision for quite some time, so as long as you keep moving, he shouldn't bug you. So unfortunately, the bamboo is not very clustered on this island, so this hasn't been a very fortunate spawn for us. We still need to find a couple more pieces. Now, it's actually very unfortunate for this one because the bamboo was so spread out, it's taking a lot more time than normally would. Since I only have 3, I need to go get 1 more. And I can see it on the horizon right now. Now that I have my 4 bamboo, we can actually begin to construct our catamaran. When you go to make the bamboo deck, you don't want to put it in the water by itself. You actually want to put it on the current grass hull you have. If you put it in the water, you have to deconstruct everything and then reconstruct it onto the platform. But if you do it this way, you can see that it pushes the sail up on top of the platform, so you saved the dismantle and reconstruction time for that. Now here the layout's bugging a bit, so I just wanted to make sure it was correct before I build it and it doesn't bug out for us. Now that I have the grass hull attached on the right side, I do have to dismantle the one that's underneath the middle so we can attach it to the left side. Okay, now that the boat is complete, I'm going to have to give it a push to get it into the water, and I'm actually going to need to do 2 pushes for this one. But now we're all set to sail. So luckily the wind was in our favor here and we got here pretty quickly. I'm going to jump off to that same rock spot that we were at before. The bottom base of the formation is the same between the first and second islands, but it seems about halfway up it seems to shift in design between those two. As I round the corner here, you are going to be able to notice that there's that new structure instead of that gap rock that was on the first island. So sadly, the spot we used last time doesn't have the same footing, so we aren't able to use the skip. I'm just going to show an example here. I did try it where you go all the way to the right. Didn't seem to work, and even if you go up onto that next level, it's not working. But we do have a spot where knife skip works on the second and following islands. So over here by this corner, there's going to be this little gap in the wall there. My setup is I get her arm to line up with that gap. Then on the right side of this corner, there's going to be a dark square on there that you can use to line up for where we're going to attack. I'm kind of circling it with her hair bun there just to show where it is. So halfway through, or about maybe a third of the way up, is a good spot for how to hit it. You want to move all the way to the edge. It didn't work this time, I was a little too far. Sometimes you can use dodge roll to get back up there a bit quicker. So yeah, I'm going to set that up again. I don't think it went that far, so I do it a third time. Battle stance. And there we are. I'm going to do it a couple more times to show you. So here I'm going to try lining it up again. Got her arm on that gap. Halfway down that square. Turn, battle stance, attack. And if you start sliding, dodge rolling will avoid going into the damage animation, which is annoyingly long and prone to slide a far way down here. But there we are, set up and on the top again. So this was the original spot that I discovered knife skip at. I originally had done a jumping trick that seemed to work pretty consistently where you could jump up the corner. And then when I started recording myself, of course it didn't work. So I got angry, attacked, and up I went. So here we're going to line it up and do it another time. And there we are. Gotta love the bad clipping. Okay, so this isn't a very good example of jumping. I don't do a very good job of keeping up the momentum with it. Now we just have to do a sailing gauntlet before we can get to chapter 3. This one's going to be a bit longer and more treacherous than the previous one, and they are going to increase in difficulty between each chapter. Right now, I'm trying to get my sail to match the wind as perfectly as I can to pick up the most momentum here right at the start. You are going to see me let go of the controls here so I can skip that cephalopod trigger again. And now we just need to go as fast as we can without dipping the front of our boat in so we don't bounce back out of the water. So here I made a mistake. I'm actually going to crash and break one of my hulls. In this situation, you want to just get off and drown, because it's going to reset you back to the beginning. Normally in the overworld, drowning is the end of a run because it will send you to an island and you have to rebuild your boat to get back to your current catamaran, and that takes way too much time. Might as well restart. But since there's not an island it can send us to in this gauntlet, it's going to send us back to the beginning and reset our boat's status, so it's going to have both hulls. And here we are, our boat is reset, so all we need to do is sail better this time. Okay, here we are at the start of Chapter 3. We have everything we need to finish the game now. We just need to make sure that we don't break the boat on our way to the end island. We just go straight there, knife skip our way up, and keep moving to the next chapter. So we just need to go as fast as we can. Okay, so unfortunately the wind wasn't really in our favor on this one, so it took us a while to sail up here. But I actually jumped off one rock too early, so it looks different and I get a little confused here. But I eventually find out, yeah, just going to the right. And there's the correct path. Now, knife skip was difficult for me at this point. I'm not entirely sure why. I think it might be more precise on certain islands than others. But here you'll see me try it a couple of times and fail, but eventually I do get it. It's just lining that up very precisely. So here I do a lot better job of jump chaining up the ramp, so it does save just a bit of time. Now I have to sail through the gauntlet before I can get to Chapter 4. It is the same thing as before, just a little more treacherous, and you will see me actually get hit by the shark. He breaks one of my hulls, so I have to restart because that's a lot quicker than trying to finish without it and then replace it in Chapter 4. Now, I'm not going to let go of the controls here because for some reason these tentacles don't slow down with the animation. It might be because they're further back, I'm not entirely sure. We just gotta make it through here, and then we're clear into Chapter 4. So here you have to pay attention because jellyfish don't pop up until you're pretty close by, so if you're not paying attention you can easily hit these and destroy your boat. So you want to be constantly looking ahead of you, making sure that you're not going to hit a nice big school of jellyfish. So once you hit Chapter 5's Gauntlet, you're in the last stretch of the game. You want to be sure to pay very close attention because your boat is a lot weaker than what the devs intended it to be when you're in this area. So, as you can see, I easily got launched. I am lucky that the hull did not break. Now when he smashes down, he's going to make little whirlpool vortexes. You can actually use these to gain a little bit of speed if you hook them right through that same wave. Here, I dipped down a bit too far and lost all my speed. It is really challenging to get through this last gauntlet without taking excessive amounts of damage or losing a lot of time from dipping down, bouncing back, losing all your speed. Once again, losing all the momentum, but he actually saved me a little bit by not hitting a rock. Now you are able to gain speed here like I did by going down the wave that he leaves once he dips. You need to watch out for jellyfish because they are riddled around this area and they will break your boat. As you can see there, right near there is the end of the run. I'm going to intentionally hit my hull there, just to give an example of once you're at this point, if you break a hull, there's no point in restarting. You might as well just finish it out, because if you sail right, you can go just as fast without both hulls than if you had them. So you just need to set your sail at the right height so you don't flip over. And once you make it past here, you're going to hit a cutscene, and that is the end of the run. Once the screen fades to black. End of the run. And that's it. That's how you speedrun Windbound. I hope you enjoyed this, found it helpful. If you have any questions, just put it in the comments below. I'm happy to look into things more for you and try and find out more ways to save time in these runs.